everybody, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Lynn Liberman. Some people know me as Rabbi Lynn Liberman. Some people know me as Rabbi Lynn. Whatever works for you, all good. I'm also a chaplain. We are going to self-introduce. Often there's a person that introduces the session, and we're grateful that somebody came forward to offer that, and we're going to let him off the hook because he didn't have all the information. So I am just delighted to be here. I've presented at this conference before. I see some familiar faces, so, oh my goodness. Okay, so now I can't give those same jokes again. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay. But the best thing that I did this year was I brought a colleague with me, a wonderful, wonderful person. And Emily will introduce herself in just a moment. So by way of introducing just a little bit more for those whom I have not had the pleasure to meet, I am the community chaplain. I work out of Jewish Family Service of St. Paul. That's this name tag. What I am so honored to be able to do as a board-certified chaplain is I go to people. You're going to get my one-line speech. Usually I work with people who are unaffiliated, marginalized, forgotten about, aren't connected, kind of underneath. And if you're Jewish, you know the term tzitzit. Right? Fringe. So people who don't feel comfortable perhaps even walking into Temple Israel today or otherwise are affiliated to a Jewish organization, it is my incredible honor and joy to come to you and be able to sit and do the best of what we do as chaplains. You're going to hear us talk about what it means to be chaplains here in a moment, is to just connect with you in the best spirit of being a chaplain. Just a quick other word, I do a lot of chaplaincies in other places, so occasionally people get confused. I sometimes have to look down and look at my name tag to see which place I am at. So you might see in one of the area hospitals, you might see me working with our different police departments, you might see me up at the Capitol. I'm honored to work with the security folks up at our state capitol, and a variety of other things. So I'll stop there. Emily, please introduce yourself.
Well, hi. So my name is Emily Youngdahl Wright, and like Lynn, I'm a board-certified chaplain. We met when we were both working for hospice with Fairview Hospice. And we were on different teams at that point, going out in the community and visiting folks who were nearing the end of their lives. And it was a joy to be a part of that team. There were 12 of us.
Yeah, it's big.
And we would get together, and so we've had an opportunity to get to know each other over the years. I now work as a chaplain at Methodist Hospital and at the Frauenschuh Cancer Center. And so I visit folks who are facing kind of medical crises and may or may not be facing the end of their life anymore, right? Well, all of us in some way or another are kind of trying to prepare for the fact that we're not going to be here forever. But some of the folks that I'm meeting are just hearing news for the first time of, catastrophic illness, or, my loved one is facing this hard thing, or there's something happening in the emergency room, etc. So that's the kind of work that I do. I used to be a teacher. I worked with parents and children. I led family music classes, and I taught about the science of tiny brain development and how to support families navigating that journey of before you had a child and now you do. So that's what I used to do. I think that's enough.
Is that enough?
Yeah.
We were also going to share just one fun fact.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
One fun fact. Okay, you share your fun fact.
Okay, my fun fact is about 4 years ago, I just thought, wow, I want to grow a shirt. And I decided to plant some flax and learn how to make linen. And so I've been engaged in that process for 4 years now. The most amazing fact about that fact is that last year, I answered a question about in the Swedish genealogy magazine, which I happened to see online, asking for information about descendants of Aki and Olivia Youngdahl, who are my great-great-grandparents. And I was like, well, that's weird. And so I wrote back, I'm Emily Youngdahl, for whatever that means, to this address in Sweden. And I got back a letter from my, fourth cousin in Sweden, who is the president of the flax growers in Sweden. I was like, that's truly weird. Okay, that's my amazing fact.
Oh, I can't top that. Okay, my fun fact is that I have actually built my own kayak.
Yes.
Yes. And I still get to paddle it. It's really hard to stand here today. It's supposed to be 80. So good for you. Good for you. I might have to go home and swipe my boat and throw it on the lake. So, and I have no connection to tree growers or anybody. It's marine wood. So just a little bit about us. We are very excited to be here and very taken by our first session today. So in many ways, what we experienced together by our presenter are some of the things to put it out there. And we were kind of murmuring to each other very quickly, oh my goodness, all right? So we heard some of the things that she presented this morning were things that are actually part of our session as well. So we're gonna do a little on-the-fly dancing, which is perfect for us because we're chaplains. And so I said to Emily, I said, one of the reasons that I have really appreciated being able to present at this conference is about the whole person. We as chaplains work as you've heard, in a variety of different places and spaces. We carry a very fun bag of tricks. Our bag of tricks is this incredible flexible thing that sort of goes with us. And at any given moment, we can pull things out of it that sometimes look like it comes from the field of a therapist. Sometimes it might be something that comes from the field of a social worker, or it might look like something we all just heard in the other room. Occasionally it's art, sometimes it's music. It is a whole bag of tricks. The best thing that we get to do as chaplains is we get to show up. We get to show up. When people ask me, what do I love about what I do, what really motivates me, it is not the paperwork that I have to do at the end of the day. Trust me, it is not. It is that somebody receives my visit and I get to sit down and do the best thing, which we're going to practice a little bit of shortly, which is to listen. Which is to listen. What a gift it is to listen. We heard, about breathing?
Yeah,
okay.
we did.
So we heard this morning from our presenter a few insights. So I'm going to ask you to help me. Just do a quick review. We learned about breathing. What were your takeaways? We won't tell her if you remember or not. Relaxing.
Tapping.
Tapping was another takeaway. Vagus nerves. Yes.
Lion's breath.
Lion's breath. She loves you all. Wow, this is great. Let's help her, right? So yes, breathing is exceedingly powerful. One of the things I'll add is we do it all the time and we don't think about it. Just pause for a minute with that, right? What she was, a word I'll add in is she was adding intentionality, right? You're gonna breathe anyway, thank God, because I do know CPR, but I'd rather not do it right now, right? But when you intentionally think about those breaths coming in and out, it gives you the gifts that she spoke about. And the beautiful diagram, actually, right? It's the vagus nerve and all of that. Right? So breathing. There are other things that we're talking about. We're going to send you out of here with more tools. And some of them we're going to try to be literal and hands-on with you. My invitation always is, please ask questions along the way. We're not going to do a presentation and Q&A at the end. It's your session with us. So if something comes to you, just raise a hand or shout it out. We'll try to answer it as we go along. And we'll see where we go with that. Feel like music?
Sure. Do you want to invite them in? Just take a breath together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. So to begin, however you'd like to sit comfortably or not, you can stay wherever you are. I will add, I don't think she mentioned this, there's a power about breathing in with your nose and letting out with your mouth, filling your chest, right? And then filling up your gut, your middle. So let's just do it once. Let's just settle into here. And then out. For good measure, let's do it again. Okay.
I think I'm just going to sing to you, and maybe tell the story afterwards. Do you think is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is a song called "When You Call." I know there's a lot of wisdom in this room. I know that there is a whole ocean of stories that you carry. This is one of them. We go where the pain is. We go with the fear. We will not turn our hearts from the tears. We go with the silence, the unanswered why. We hear the question in the cry. We will be listening. We will be waiting. We will be ready when you call. We go with the anguish. Hear the story in your hands and eyes, calling the sacred to our sides, asking the holy, thanking the mystery. Help us be ready when you call. Big yellow sun, it shines for you and me. The silver white moon, it glows. Take a deep breath and find the ground below. 'Cause we're still here, asking the holy, asking the mystery. Help us be ready when you call. So, Lynn and I were talking about our work as chaplains and what we get called into, right? People literally call, please come, and we go, right? And we get called into some really shocking things. And this world right now is quite, I think my mic may have gone, I don't know, but this world is full of quite shocking things, right? That we're all walking into all the time. You turn on the radio, you go outside, whatever's happening, there are shocking things happening. So I wrote this song as part of my process of how I process the world, right? So I was called in one night to an emergency room where a man had brought a weapon and ended up deciding to end his life there in front of staff, and the staff were shocked, his family was shocked, everyone was shocked, and there I was. Hello, right? And I was just thinking, like, what do we need to do to get ready? And so when Lynn and I were thinking about tending to spirit and healing the soul and having tools with us, right? We were thinking about, well, what do you do? What do I do? What are people doing, right? What can we do? And so this morning's session with our keynote speaker, where she was really just leaning into what can we literally do, right? We can breathe. We can hold ourselves. We can tap. We can take big breaths and little breaths. We can close our eyes. We can rock, right? And I was just, so one of the things we wanted to bring today was just, as she mentioned, the power of music, the power of song, the power of a story to kind of get your heart and your mind kind of connected, right? To just kind of think about that. So I just wanted to share that song with you. And we already hummed a little bit with her, but we could just for a moment just take another breath and go, Thank you. I was telling Lynn that, Rabbi Lynn, that one of the stories I heard on the radio one time was Alice Walker wondering, how is it that in that middle passage from Africa to enslavement, that everybody didn't die, right? How is it that anybody survived that? She said she thinks it was because someone on that ship, likely a mother, but not necessarily, started humming. And that the people on that ship could hum together. And that's how they survived. And I've never forgotten that. I've never forgotten that. Yeah. So I think it's your turn to talk.
One of the things that we were thinking about is that often we are here presenting for you on how to keep you well and to go through the world that is a very complex space to do so. And we were musing on the fact that as chaplains, we need to do this as well. I'm very fond of this conference for the well-being that it brings to so many people who are traveling the world in so many different ways with so many different stories behind them. And that spiritual care, which is kind of the vernacular that we are trying to push a little bit more heavily in the hospital, in the clinical world of where we end up, is about tending to the spirit as much as to the mechanics of our sense of well-being, right? Talking to therapists, very important. All kinds of therapists, all kinds of therapy. So we wanted to just say a little bit more about what are some of the rigors that we go through to just talk, to open up that chaplains, and I'm hoping Emily will share a little bit of what she was even telling me this morning, that it is hard for us to walk into these spaces. I could tell you innumerable times as being called, I do a lot of on-call work, of showing up, for example, to a hospital. I've also done hospice work, and being asked specifically to be present to try to ground, which is a favorite term, right? To reground or ground people when everything else has just gone array. That often happens in an emergent moment, right? There's been a car accident, a loved one is now being tended to by the physicians and the doctor, the nurses and other people, and the family is, what do we do? And that's where we can come in. A lot of times we're there for that family to think about, and these are the little secrets I want to give over to you, right? To think about, how do I hold myself when I've encountered hard moments before? How have I done that before? I like to use the word, where's my well of strength? I'm giving you all my tricks, so I get that. But
yeah, we talk about being a non-anxious presence, right?
Yeah.
That's something, like, you have to write notes if you're a chaplain. And one of the notes that you often write is, provided non-anxious presence.
Yes.
How do you do that? How do you walk into this world as a non-anxious presence?
Right. Best part of my job, whichever version of the chaplain title I happen to be wearing at the moment, is showing up. Showing up. People love to ask me, what do you do as a chaplain? I say, I show up. Think about for you when somebody has shown up for you. Or I'll reverse it. You have shown up for somebody else. Right? I don't know if you've ever done this. I'm coming over to your house and I have these 2 really great coffees I got from our favorite shop up the street. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Has anybody had that? Right? Or somebody just snagged me in the hallway. I was trying to take care of something really quickly, and they said, I really need to talk with you. And I said, oh my goodness. Right? So I showed up in their view, and I said, I'm going to catch you afterwards. Right? But I showed up in the moment, and I wished I could have stayed longer, but at least I acknowledged, and we're going to continue. Showing up, being present to each other. When it comes to a very hard day that I might have had with either a client or one of my JFS clients or a patient, I have to show up for myself. We heard our previous speaker talk about this. I can't emphasize this one enough. And we've got some things we're going to be giving you to show you how to do this. But some personal things that I do. That one's yours. I don't know where mine went. I was going to show you my favorite thing. I stuck it down.
What is your favorite thing?
My favorite thing is this thing. No, I had it here somewhere. My favorite thing is this thing. This is my journal, right? Nobody ever reads it but me. I barely can read what I write. But journaling. I wanted to emphasize that she was having us do that. Emily, chaplain, journals, right? Whatever works for you, right? That's a great thing. Sitting in quiet spaces. If you're a nature lover, going outside. Beautiful day today, right? There are a variety of things, but the most important thing is remembering the me in the equation. Yeah. Remember you. Remember your need to take care of yourself in that self-care, that great used term, but to take care of what will keep you grounded in those situations.
Yeah, I was telling Lynn this morning that I was just asked to speak at a conference next month to a group of chaplains. And the director of the program said that her chaplains are getting anxious about people working with people who may or may not have a spiritual practice. Or their spiritual practice may look very different than the chaplain's spiritual practice. Or they may feel that religion doesn't matter anymore. Spirit doesn't matter anymore. Nothing, what matters, right? And we were just really reflecting on how important it is to have some things that you do personally, regardless of, like I'm a member of the Baha'i faith, right? Lynn and I work together interreligiously, right? And most of the people that I encounter, and most of the people that Lynn encounters on call, are not members of our particular faith traditions, right? And so what we're thinking about is, how's your heart? What's the story on your heart? What would be comforting? What would be helpful? What do you need right now, right? How can I be with you? How can I sit with you? How can we process this even just silently together? I don't have answers for you, but I can be with you.
Yeah. I wonder if we want to do a little storytelling.
Sure.
Talk about park.
Oh, yeah,
Sure. Do that after that.
What do you think? Storytell?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll tell that part.
Okay.
This is kind of fun because we're having to do this in a different way than we thought.
I think she's going to tell a story. I better sit down.
So some of you have joined me before in previous sessions, and it's been a delight. And there is, so we're going to begin to give you some more things to take with you. Many of the things that we're going to be giving you are things that you can do anywhere, anytime. You do not need special things for them. So I'm going to point out, number one, breathing. Something when I do breathing exercises with people is that I say, you could be in a crowd watching the Lynx play basketball. Okay, if you aren't, you should be. Watching the Lynx play basketball, and you're like filled with the anxiety of something that happened and it's just hitting you, and like you're stuck in the middle of that stadium, and everybody else is cheering, and you're like, oh, the world is... You can sit there, put your feet on the floor, and breathe. 2 times, by the way, 2 deep breaths is, we do this with first responders. I do a lot of work with first responders. We do this with them all the time. 2 deep breaths is better than any other kind of anything. Pills, certainly we say please stay away from the alcohol, stay away from any of the other things that you don't want to put in your body as chemicals. But it will last you for a good 2 hours, believe it or not. It's the physiology of what you saw, that beautiful picture that she put up there. Right? So that's a good thing you can do. Here's another one that you can do. Some of you might have done this with me before, so go with it, okay? Because we're going to see how it works. We need to tell our stories. Boy, do we need to do that. And we need to listen to story. So I'm going to ask you to do that. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do, and then we're going to do it. You're going to find a partner. You can just turn to somebody at the table. It works best if there's just 2. And if we have an odd number, that's all right. We'll figure that out. And I'm going to ask you to one person start. You're the storyteller. The second person, you're the story listener. Right? Now, it might seem like one is easier than the other, but I'm going to tell you, I don't know. I'm going to tell you what the topic is in a minute. Here are the rules to go. You're just going to have a minute, and then you're going to switch. The person telling your story on the topic that I'm going to give you, just talk. The person who is listening, this is hard, and I'm going to be culturally here, especially if you're Jewish. Okay? Sit on your hands. You cannot ask questions. You need to open your ears, and hopefully even using your eyes, your face, and just watch the person take in the story. This, for some of us, this is what we do all day. I love doing this. But for some of us, this is a little hard to do, but I want to ask a question. You'll do that later if you need to. Okay? So then you're going to switch. You're going to know the parts because I brought these beautiful Tibetan bells. So when you hear the chime, the first storyteller is going to start. The other person's going to listen. When you hear it again, you're going to switch. When you hear it the third time, we're done. Does it make sense? Really not so easy? Okay. So if you're able to find a partner, we might have some odd numbers at tables. So if you need to get up and help, and then I'm going to give you the topic once you've found your storytelling partner.
We haven't talked yet.
Thank you.
What do we do?
Yeah, so we can have 2 people and 2 people?
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what?
so you do this all the time?
We have 3 at this table. If you want to sit here, then maybe you'd have a partner. Is that okay?
Yes. Okay. Everybody found a partner. Here we go. We have one person seeking somebody with whom to tell the story. Oh, here we go. Here you go.
Oh, well, they said somebody.
She's about to tell us the story.
Okay, I'm going to give you the topic.
Okay, you got somebody. Okay.
Okay, here's your topic. You're going to tell your partner, the other person's going to listen, and then you're going to switch. What is your favorite food or meal to eat? Favorite food or meal? Ready? And then what's the next bit? I don't want to take my finger off my watch because I'll lose where I am. So you're going to believe it or not, our timing is pretty close. Oh!
So I have these time things, and so I can just come back there and I'll make it myself.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I guess at the end,
We don't have a Q&A at the end. No.
all they want you to do is to tell people what else.
Please switch. Switch. Listeners become tellers, and tellers become listeners.
So I'll just come back up and tell people what.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. So we're 2 minutes into a exercise.
They're trying to find restaurants that do it anymore. It's like they got the Impossible Burger and those kinds of things, so you can't find mushroom burgers anymore. Recently, I've gotten into ancient grains.
Time goes by fast.
Hard to find. Yeah. So I like a variety of vegetarian food, but a good mushroom burger I would also love. I mean, I don't think they're that difficult to have at least. I'd rather have at a restaurant or have it in the freezer, just throw it in the microwave or something. And yeah, I also like French fries too, with no salt, no seasoning on it, thin.
Okay. So, wow. Oh, and the murmurs keep going. Okay, a couple of just, we call this in chaplaincy world processing, so we're just going to process it just very quickly to those who wish to say, what was it like to be the listener?
Hard for me.
Hard for you. Yes, other ideas?
Really hard. I'm Jewish and I'm like interviewing people.
Yes!
Hard because I wanted to hear something more expressed than what he's saying. And I wanted to say about this. And I couldn't.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go over here and come back. Yes.
I love being a listener because I love when people tell me stories.
Ah,
So,
love to be a listener. Great. Next to you.
well, that's what I was going to say. But on top of that, I always say people's stories are more interesting than television.
Ah, okay. One more listener. Yes, thing.
I wanted to say to Rebecca, I'd come into your house tonight.
For dinner. Right. Right. How many of us found new menus, new food ideas? Like, oh, wow, I never thought about that.
Now I'm hungry.
Okay, what was it like to be the teller? What did you experience as the teller? Yes.
I'm Irish, so I loved it.
Ah, good. I'm Irish, I loved it. What was it like to tell your story? Yes.
It seemed like that was a very long minute.
Ah, I'm sorry, say it one more time. And we forgot the microphone.
We forgot. I'm supposed to be carrying this around. Who was talking? Was that you?
It was nice to have somebody to listen.
Thing. Nice to have somebody to listen. Any
I
other?
don't like to talk about myself, so it was hard.
The reason we're using this is because this is.
I don't like to talk about myself, so it was kind of hard. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. There's somebody in the back.
I
Yes.
felt heard.
Felt heard. Felt heard. Do you want to catch the gentleman in the?
Gave me a chance to enjoy a good memory again, good memory of a food.
Yeah. There's a person over here. Hold on one sec.
A minute wasn't really enough time because I wanted to talk about the experience first that brought me to the food answer.
Ah, yeah. One last person, Emily?
I kept repeating myself because I love ice cream.
So, and I'm sure there are more answers. Oh, one more? We'll do one more. I have to.
I just want to watch you run across the floor.
I know.
I tend to be a verbal responder, and not being able to respond verbally, I was nodding a lot and trying to smile and maintain eye contact. But it was very focused, very, very focused. I really felt like I was picking up every word that Jeannie was saying.
Wow, thank you. So just to encapsulate, because we have so many other little bits we want to try to give over to you. One is to say thank you. Thank you for being brave enough to share your story, and thank you for being a ready listener, a recipient of the story. Right? This is something, again, you can walk out of here and you can do this over lunch. Right? You can do this tonight with your people that you live with. You can do this tomorrow at work, and you can do this with strangers on the street. Right now you know something about somebody that maybe you didn't know before. By the way, I want to make sure I say this. These are called sacred stories. They are holy. You are not pleased to share what you heard. You can always tell your own story, but please do not share the story of the person that you heard unless they explicitly give you permission. And you're thinking, but it was about the burgers they love to eat. Right. All right? But please ask their permission, because in the process of telling story, you've taken this in and you're now holding it as you're holding them, just a little piece of them. We do this constantly, this gift. So imagine getting to do this all day. Yay. It's really a beautiful gift. As tellers, you shared your story, you gave to the world, or at least the world of the listener, who was not going to interrupt you. What a gift, right? The power of being the attention of the world. How many of us are like thrown all over the place all the time, right? It's personal, it's special, a piece of you. 1 second, please. As a listener, you became a vessel. In Hebrew, we call this a clay kodesh. Sometimes that is a term that's used for clergy people, but I like to say that all of us have the chance to be a holy vessel, because you are holding now a spark of that other person. What more do we need in the world than to be deeply heard? And these are innocuous, but imagine if the story was one filled with challenge or pain, distress, right? So thank you for doing that. There was a question or two over here.
For me, it's a question, but I wanted to bring out words are important to me, and everybody takes words differently. I embrace witnessing. It gets me not involved, that I don't have anything to do but witness and honor someone.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring my truth here.
Thank you. I'm going to raise up this where we should have probably brought the microphone. We're not so good, Emily, at that part. But witnessing, right, is another way of thinking about it, right? Being one who is hearing and seeing the other. There was one other comment, somebody?
I just want to know the word that you said, clay.
Oh, clay kodesh. Clay is from clay, it's a vessel. Kodesh is holy. You are a holy vessel. Yeah. Clay kodesh. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your willingness to just kind of play with us, right? So one of the things that we're thinking about and pondering about is how do you navigate this time that we're living in that feels kind of chaotic, kind of alarming. What are some things, right? Some tools, right? That's the topic of this conference. Our talk is tending to the Spirit. So we were thinking about what are things that we have, right? And when I was in seminary, one of my colleagues was doing prison ministry. And she taught me, her name was Lisa Myers, who has since passed on, but she taught me about hand labyrinths. So she came from a Celtic tradition. Celtic tradition includes this idea of walking a labyrinth, right? So if you're familiar with labyrinths, you know that they have a beginning, and then you kind of make your way around a path that you don't need to worry about because it's just leading you there, and then you get to a middle, and then you wander your way out. It's not a maze. You're not trying to guess, how do I get through this, right? So life right now is kind of mazy, kind of a little bit mazy. And so labyrinths actually, which look a little bit like a maze, but they're not, they're an organized pattern, can be something that you could look for. There's an app you can put on your phone, Labyrinth Finder, and there's labyrinths, right, around here. And what Lisa did is she talked about a hand labyrinth. So I just want to invite you to look at your hand. And these hands that have been through a lot, I know mine are getting kind of wrinkly and a little bumpy and a little spotty, but still, it's my hand, right? So one of the things that she talked about in the prison is how she wasn't even allowed to bring in a pen a lot of times, right? So she would say, well, we've got our hand, and we can do a labyrinth on our hand, right? So she would say, okay, we're gonna begin. We're gonna begin with our pinky, right? And we're gonna trace, even with your other finger or just your eyes, just trace these fingers of yours around the outside, all the way around, and then circle your palm and then into the middle, right? You found the center of your labyrinth, right? And then you can circle your way back out. Around your thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, index finger. What's that little baby one called? The pinky, right? You're out. And what she added was two things. One is as you go up, you take a breath in. And as you're breathing in, you think, what is a message I need to give myself? What do I need people to know about me, right? So on my paper, I drew my hand. I just traced my own hand, right? This is Emily's hand. And I wrote some words on my fingers that I say to myself, or I did that day. Regarded. Important. Accepted. Seen. And then all the way, I couldn't think of any more words, all the way over, round. Oh, I thought of some more words, right? Valued, whole, safe, loved, right? So this is something you could do, right? You could do it with or without a piece of paper. You can do it with or without a person beside you. You could teach it to others, right? So I introduce you to the hand labyrinth. That's it. Did you have time to do it? Did they have time to do it? I think they did. Yeah.
Okay.
Art in action.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, time is fleeting.
Time is flying.
Time is flying. Okay. So this. Yeah, this one thing. Okay. So now we're gonna get even more fancy. So Emily and I are going to come around and give you a small piece of paper, and I'm going to actually tell you what you're going to do while you're getting your piece of paper.
Oh,
and for those who
tell us if you need a pen. You're going to need a pen.
We've got some pens. If you've got something to write with, that would be helpful.
Oh gosh.
And I swiped these out of my JFS office.
Oh, she needs these pens
and
back.
so if you borrow one, please, we've got pens,
please
but please
take a piece of
try to give me one
paper.
back. But I'm going to pass out, this is a special kind of paper, and invite you
It's okay.
to, you'll see why it's
It's
special.
okay. You just need one, but if there's very
To think of a word, or maybe a couple words, that you need to think about letting go of something. For those of us who are Jewish, we are in the middle of our holy season. Wow. And at Rosh Hashanah, I'll give you a couple, pass one around there. At Rosh Hashanah, there is a ceremony that is called Tashlich. I don't know how many people actually get to do Tashlich. The ceremony is to go to a pond of water, sometimes a river. We've got a few of those here in Minnesota. Oh, you might have given you two. Oh, sure. And I'm kind of holding these pens. I didn't know if anybody needed one. Sure. Okay, how are we doing? Did everybody get a piece of paper?
So many people have pens. It's like you
It's
came
great.
prepared.
Are
or
you at a
something.
conference
It's
or
so
something?
amazing.
I don't know. Okay. So Tashlich is the idea to be able to throw away your sins. Right? So in some ways, you might think of this as such an opportunity. What you want to write, did everybody, Emily's going
Does
around,
everyone have
to write on the piece of paper a word or two words, small phrase, of something you want to let go. Some of us don't have the words, but you could hold the paper and just think them into the paper. Take a moment. Can be anything you want to let go. Right? And nobody is going to see these. I'm going to show you why. It'll work. And where's my stick? Okay, I'm going to give you another moment. This is an exercise that I have done many times over with groups of people who actually are not able to go to Tashlich, which means some physical challenges. Perhaps they're in a wheelchair or they don't live near that body of water. So I'm going to invite you to place your paper into the bowl and just let it go. Okay? It's a bowl of water, and I'm just going to stir the bowl up as we go. Right? And if you will see, as I go around, what happens to it in the water. And I'm not reading them.
And following behind Lynn, we're offering you
Just
a
gonna let it
chance to
go.
choose a stone for your pocket or to hold, to keep. These are stones that Lynn and I have collected from our many, many walks. You're welcome. And these stones are for things you're letting go of, things you're holding, right?
I'm just going to be letting things go here, and then Emily will come by with that stone.
Where'd you get that dish?
My brother is a potter, and he made this beautiful bowl.
It's a dissolving paper. It is meant to do this.
You're picking a stone to keep for you?
I'll come back to you.
A stone that can fit in your pocket, a stone that you can put on a shelf,
You can see a lot of words.
a stone
in there,
you
but
can
don't
rub
look
in
at
your
it.
hand.
Wow, that's cool.
That's all right. A lot of things to let go.
There's so many choices, I know. We wanted to make sure we had enough for you to make choices from.
Okay, as Emily's going around, I'll just show you the words are all gone. It's a shared community of letting things go. Right? Oh, my goodness.
Lynn,
We are continuing our community here. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you. So if you are of the Jewish tradition and you did not get a chance to do Tashlich, now you have. And for those who are joining us, you've also joined in this tradition of letting things go. And as Emily continues to bring around these stones, I would like to show you that very seriously. We take stones very seriously. If people have seen my presentations before or know me, I'm always walking with stones in my pocket. This one is, for me, from Lake Superior. It was one afternoon I was attending a conference on emergency response. It's another piece of what I do. And I needed a break. And, right, chaplain, but I needed a break. So I walked over, it was in Duluth, I walked up to the lakeshore, had enough time, and I just started picking up stones, and it fit in my hand. Sometimes we call these touchstones, right, or pocket stones. And it just rides in my pocket. That's where it is. Sometimes I take it out and I put it on my desk in front of me. This stone is a special other kind of stone. I had the great privilege and honor to work with people who came through the synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh a couple years ago. And part of the healing that we did there is that people also had stones with words written on them. So I was actually given this one. So with great honor, I hold that as well, thinking about those survivors and people who went through that experience. I'm going to give Emily another moment.
Yeah, I'm almost
It's
through
almost
my
done.
thing.
Yeah.
And then I wonder if we want to talk about the other thing that we brought them.
The bag? Do you
The
want
bag.
to go ahead and do
Is
that?
it time for that?
Do you want to? Okay.
Not yet. Am I supposed to be doing something? Lynn
Is
is
there any-
looking at me like I'm supposed to remember what I'm supposed to be
Looking
doing.
at our joint
I'm
notes.
just
Wait a
passing
minute.
out stones, Lynn.
Let me ask a quick question while
She
you're
says
still-
I'm doing a really good job.
She's doing a very good job. Love the container. Love the container. Let me ask very quickly, do others have things that you have done with stones, either in your tradition or in your life? Yes. And I'm supposed to carry a microphone to you. He's looking at me. Yes, take the microphone to her.
Nothing scares me. So I'm a therapist, and so I have a stone on my desk from 20, 30 years ago. And that stone reminds me that when I'm talking to somebody, I have to care for them like the stone that's in my hand. And it's, I don't know, I've had it for many, many years. And so I loved getting this stone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Two parts. One, I'm a therapist and I have a wood bowl on a table. I see mostly kids, but also some adults too. And there's shells and rocks, and there's lots of toys also, but kids seem to really be attracted to picking up the rocks and the shells. And then in the Jewish tradition, I think it's a Jewish tradition, when you go to the cemetery, you often put a stone on the person's tombstone, but I'm not sure if that's specifically Jewish or not.
Yeah, I'll affirm that. It is very Jewish.
Okay.
And I'll affirm that it's also other religions as well.
Yeah. One other quick thought. I'm going to pop over here.
I don't
And
think
then-
she's had a chance to speak.
I'm also a therapist, and I collected river rocks from Japan, and I use them as transitional objects when I go on a vacation, and tell them just to hold it whenever they're missing me, because they feel abandoned, and this is to let them know that they're not.
Beautiful.
Emily and I said to each other before we started, I'm going to come over here. There's going to be a lot of wisdom in this room. I'm now walking away with so many learned things.
Oops, sorry.
I am not a therapist. I'm an acupuncturist in Northfield, and I have a ledge in my practice room that has all different shapes and sizes of rocks and stones and shells, and people can come and pick them up. We have to think of it from an acupuncture standpoint that this comes from the earth, and this is how we heal. And earth in acupuncture terms is our gut, and that's where all of our health begins, by eating healthy, making good choices, because that helps us with our mental health.
Wow, thank you. I'm going to come back up front by way of a dear old friend.
I recently received the gift of knowing that rocks are eternal, that they've been before and they're going to be there afterwards, and which also relates to using them in the cemetery and putting them on the stones. But when you pick up a rock, you don't know where it's been and you don't know where it's going, but it's eternal.
Wow, thank you. Beautiful. So, do you want to introduce these? Or you want me to- Go ahead.
Sure. You've all been beautiful. Thank you for your attention. We put together a few things for you to take with you. They're in a bag at the back. In this little bag is a finger labyrinth for you to trace like an actual little labyrinth, not just your hand. A little mandala. This is another thing that I do when I told Lynn this is how I take notes in meetings, is my notes look like this, right? For you to color. There's some crayons, a special pen that will actually write on the rock. There's another rock in here from the river. So you can put a word on there, you can make a design.
I'm going to say really jump in very, very quickly. Because of just supplies and wanting you to go away with something, this means now you're going to take that new skill of listening and talking to another person and saying, what color do you have? What color do you have? And share your colors.
That's true, because you get one
You
pen.
get one
which
pen,
isn't really
but
enough.
everybody has a variety of colors. And crayons. There's a variety of colored crayons.
The stones that are in here are Lynn's collection from Lake Superior, Rabbi Lynn, and they're her gift to you. And they will accept, because they're smooth but not shiny, they'll accept either being plain or decorated or a word, right, as you said. So you're going to take those with you
Two
to
other
add to
things
your
are in the
little
bag.
collection. And we wanted to end this with that song and some special words. Yeah. All right. Thank you for being willing to be in our session, and we really appreciate the fact that probably any one of you could have led any one part of this, right? And so we are just here as namers of, we are the people who are hearing and witnessing and showing up and holding onto our own hearts in the midst of it, right? That is what we're doing. So in that song, I talk about the sun. So when I went into that hospital, the moon was out. And when I left, the sun was rising, right? And so that's part of the song. So this is how it ends. Big yellow sun, it shines for you and me. Silver white moon, it glows. Take a deep breath and find the ground below. 'Cause we're still here, thanking the holy.
Kedusha is the Hebrew for holy.
Asking the mystery.
Shekhinah, one of the names, the feminine name for God.
Help us be ready.
Neshama, bringing the wholeness of yourself, your soul.
Help us be ready when you call.
Thank you.
So, in the back, on that chair, are these bags for you to each have one, and thank you for being here. Is there anything else that we needed to tell them?
No, any other final questions? Or you can find us around.
We'll be here.